Okay, Acharei Chagim. Sometimes we have MSBs, Motzei Shabbos blues. I guess what's this called? MAH, Motzei Acharei Chagim blues. Whatever it is, I wanted to share a few thoughts. First of all, hoping that everyone's feeling good and everyone's feeling healthy. And hopefully everyone's feeling inspired. And this is geared to everyone. It's for me. Those that are inspired, those that are not inspired, because the question is, now what? Where do I go from here? What do I do now? It came and it passed. Or, oh my God, it was so long and so intense. Now what? So I saw a teaching over this last Chag that put me up to a task. It wasn't a simple one. A little bit of background. Last week, I went over to a friend's house that lives in another neighborhood here in Efrat. A friend who had told me that his wife, she's a direct descendant of the Rishon dynasty through the Chortkov dynasty. Chortkov was one of the sons of the Rishner. And they told me that they have a Sefer Torah from the Rishner Rebbe that they get in their family to hold on to for a few weeks every year. And it was these few weeks. I took a few of my children with me, and we went over. It was right before Shabbos Chol HaMoed. And we got to hold. I'm saying it so nonchalantly. We got to hold and touch and kiss and even read from the Sefer Torah that belonged to the Rishner Rebbe, Rabbi Yisrael of Rishon, who was the great-grandson of the Maggid of Mizrich, the Ner Yisrael. So the Rishon's been he kind of took over a chunk of Sukkot and of Hoshana Rabbah, Simchas Torah, Shmini Atzeret. I saw a teaching of his on Shmini Atzeret where a chassid asked him, Rabbi, why is it called Atzeret? Why is this Chag called Atzeret? And the Rebbe, you could almost hear him with a heavy tone looking back at this chassid and said, Atzeret means to stop, stopping. And the pasuk says, B'yom HaShmini, Atzeret tiyeh lachem. Stopping will be for you. And the Rebbe said, if you think it stops now, that's your problem. Meaning because you think you're going back into the world that doesn't have the Chagim, and it seems to be going back to the mundane, to Chol, and you think all this connection and the experience of love and of growth and of closeness. You think it just stops at Atzeret? Tiyeh lachem. That's your zach. That's your problem. Really, once you've gone into the chamber of the Holy of Holies by Shmini Atzeret, it can't stop. And if it stops, it's only in your mind. So that was very heavy to hear, because as beautiful as the Yom Tovim always are, we know there's the day after. So what are we just imagining? That these are like Motzei Yantiv blues? That really we're still screaming Hashem Elokim in Ne'ilah? We're still hearing the shofar? We're still flying with the Daled Minim and the scent and the smell of the sukkah and the schach? Can't be. It can't be. So all Yantiv I was thinking about what this really means. And yesterday, during the Ilas Chag, as our Chaver, we were after Mincha, that last hour before Yantiv was over, we got together in one of the rooms in the shul. What a Chag it's been! What a Yantiv! Please, just come, just join us, just taste it, just be with us. Whatever I say won't do it justice. But we got together to learn a short piece. I shared a short thought based on a short piece, a lot of short, there wasn't a lot of time. But Rav Kluger, a tzaddik who lives in Beit Shemesh, I saw a piece that he shared on Shmini Atzeret in a previous year. And his direction that he leads us to with Shmini Atzeret, for me, is life-saving. Life-saving. And even though these words were said on Shmini Atzeret, I believe it extends that during that last week, really, or definitely for those few days that follow what some may call the down after the Chagim. And it's something that if we allow ourselves to actually think about in a way that we probably never thought of, we may have a chance to discover some incredible things that we never saw before. And as we all know, that Shmini Atzeret is basically this day where Hashem says, listen, it's the after party. Sukkot was the whole world, the 70 nations, the korbanot. Everyone comes, but Hashem says, listen, I want you for one more day. I want you to come inside and come to the bedroom for one last day. No one else, just us. Like Shlomo HaMelech says in Shir HaShirim, Heviani HaMelech Chadarav, the king brought me into his room. Heviani HaMelech Chadarav. We're coming into the room. Sort of Kluger, and I'm paraphrasing, obviously, just have to make it a little bit, not a little bit, but we have to make the Torah as our own. And I hope this was the kavana of his words. But this is the way that I understood them, and I'm davening over it today very strong. When Hashem takes us into that room, it's just to be alone with us? So Hashem pulls out from his night table, from his drawer, he says, I want to show you something. And he pulls out all these postcards. And all these postcards, we don't even recognize them. But they were from us. They were a bunch of love letters that were written during a certain period that, for us to understand it, these are love letters that were written during Elul and Tishrei. And sometimes the postcards were just like a beginning of a sentence. Sometimes it was the middle of a sentence. Sometimes there wasn't even anything written on there, but it was a postcard and it came from us. And the way the Rav Kluger says is that what the other side wants us to think is that when we look back in Elul Tishrei, we're like, did anything even happen here? Did we actually accomplish to express anything we wanted to express? Did we feel anything close to what we thought we could, should, or would like to have felt during this precious and auspicious time of what's called yamim noraim, yemei rachamim v'ratzon? And Rav Kluger says is that Hashem takes us and says, you think that I just read what you wrote. I wasn't reading words. Karati et halev shelachem. I read your heart, every attempt of yours to tell me that you just want to be with me. Every attempt you had, every pasuk you began that maybe you didn't finish, every Shmona Esrei that started really strong, but maybe in the middle got lost. Any set of tkiyos where in the beginning you were really in a good zone, but then maybe it didn't continue as long as you would have liked. Any hakafa that began strong, the dancing began strong, but maybe it didn't continue. For me, that was a postcard. Maybe it was the beginning of a postcard, but what do you think? I throw away the ones that aren't complete. I kept them here all in my drawer. And I want you to see that this is what I'm holding on to. So a dear friend, a neighbor of ours here, David Singer, came up to me after we were sharing this, and he said to me, he thinks this could be the chiddush of the concept of pit katava. We usually say a good kvittel, pit katava, everyone should have you have a good note, meaning it should be written off and sealed for you that everything was good and should be good for you. But maybe pit katava can mean, a good sweet note can mean, may you be privileged to walk into the room at the end of the Chagim and to believe that when Hashem shows you these half-written postcards, these love letters that you began to write and you sent, maybe they weren't as good as you thought it could be. But when Hashem shows you how much it meant to him, kiviyachol, boy, should that mean something to you. Should that mean something to you? To me, there's no greater counter to the Motzei Yom Tov blues. It's as if it's only about us again. But this place of yichud, of coming together, which was growing and growing for this whole period of time, Hashem wants us to see, he wants to show us and say, this is what I keep by the night table. And it's going to be here all year long till you send me new love letters such as these by next year. So if I'm keeping it by my night table, you can keep it by your night table as well. And that's his gift to us, the Pit Katava. It's the copies of the love letters. It's the copies of the postcards. And it's Hashem signed off. Hashem signs off on each of them and says, Karati gam et halev shelcha. I also read your heart that's not written here because it doesn't have any letters. It doesn't have any words. Dearest friends, Pit Katava. Pit Katava to all of us.